351 up on scene. I'll be assuming Caroline Street Command. I got a 2.5-story wood occupied multiple dwelling. I got heavy fire from the second floor, Charlie side. I have an exposure on the Delta side. We have one line stretch not in operation yet. Primary searches are underway. Status of the fire is doubtful. One passing command. I'm on the first line. Service speed advisor on scene. 2-story wood frame. I got heavy fire from the Alpha side.
Welcome back, fans of the Volley Chief. I guess we're going to kick off season 2 here, and I know the big questions, where have I been, right? Last time we talked was beginning of May, end of April, with a season 1 cliffhanger, if you will. And a lot has happened, and I think that's kind of the easiest way to say it. So I figure I'm going to spend this episode kind of just recapping the summer, because it was a very eventful summer for the Volley Chief and everything that we do here. So just to recap, when we last left off, I was living my life as the past chief of the Derby Fire Department and currently a lieutenant on the heavy rescue in the city of Bridgeport, Connecticut. And things were smooth sailing. I've got it was like 16 years in Bridgeport now. And, I loved working there. I loved it was a lot of, I guess you could say, bragging rights, right? Like we had a lot of that, the biggest city in the state, being on the heavy rescue in the biggest city in the state was kind of it's a big thing, right? In the fire service. And, right around mid-May, I saw a job opening for the chief of the Somers, Connecticut Fire Department. And, I recently finished my degree, so I thought I'd take it for a test drive, and I threw an application in, started doing some research on the department, and a couple interviews later, I had a job offer. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I stopped recording for a little bit. I didn't want to be recording in the process of getting hired, just in case I said something dumb or something different with what you could say the department would agree with. So I paused recording. It was kind of the reason for the sudden stop of season 1. But lo and behold, they gave me a job offer, and I took it. So with 16 years into the city of Bridgeport, I put my papers in and left for a new adventure. And it's not an easy decision, and I know that obviously the focus of the show is the volunteer fire service, and time to time we cross lines, and leaving Bridgeport, leaving what I've known, leaving what I've built there was very difficult. I mean, I worked with some tremendous people. I had a phenomenal crew, right? Tommy, Keith, James, Craig. They were a phenomenal group to work with. Even the rest of my shift, my battalion chief, Chief Cronin. It was very, very difficult, and I'd been through a lot there. I mean, we kind of took a beating. We had a lot thrown at us right off the bat, and to be able to come out and to be able to move on and open up another chapter was something that was very interesting and very exciting to me. So for those of you listening right now, a lot of you are probably saying, holy crap, where the heck is Somers, Connecticut? But it's a pretty interesting place. So far, so good. But just some fun facts about Somers. It's got a population of just over 10,000 people. It's about 30 square miles. Amazingly, there is like no water. It's like, if you look, the total area is like 29 square miles with like less than 1% of the town being water. So that's a big difference for me, both in Derby and in Bridgeport. We were surrounded by water. So, water rescue, the winter ice, and the summer, just recreational was always a big concern of mine. Another oddity that world I'm now living in is there's no highway. There's no, closed highway, really. There's a limited access highway. So, in Derby, we have Route 8 that runs through the town, and then Bridgeport, obviously, we have Route 8, Route 25, and then I-95 ran, smack through Bridgeport. So that's one big thing off my plate. right? I mean, we all know how dangerous the highway is nowadays, and to I hate to say not to have to worry about it because you still have some state roads, some bigger thoroughfares up there, but nothing like 95 or 91 or I-84 or even Route 8 is going through there. So that was a big thing off kind of my plate. But Somers is situated in northern Connecticut in Tolland County. It's borders Massachusetts. So my neighbor to the north directly is the state of Massachusetts now. It's very close to it's only like 15 miles away from Springfield, Mass, where it's like over 20 miles away to Hartford. So that's one thing that's been a little bit different is that even though we're in Connecticut, we're more aligned with what goes on in the Springfield area of Massachusetts. It's again a smaller town, right? 10,000 people, so about 5,000 less than Derby. However, it's significantly larger than Derby. It's a lot of farm. It's a lot of tobacco farms. A lot of people don't know Connecticut's actually a very big tobacco producing state, and that's the tobacco region of Connecticut. So it's an interesting place, and I've started really enjoying working up there. I've enjoyed what's going on up there. The couple things that Summer's known for really. I'll give you one good, one bad. One thing it's known for on the bad side is that it is home to two of Connecticut's biggest prisons, and that's obviously a different concern. Something around here in Bridgeport, we had the North Avenue prison. It wasn't at all the size of this. It was more of a holding prison than a long-term prison, but it is a significant factor in the department because Osborne Prison. Actually, it's one of our we respond there for 911, so it's one of our most common responses is to the prison. So that's something new that I'm educating myself in. But let's dive into the Town of Somers Fire Department. So the Somers Fire Department is a combination department. There's about roughly 16 career personnel, part and full time. We provide a transporting ambulance service like everybody does nowadays. So it's 3 ambulances, 2 medic fly cars, 2 squads, 2 tankers, a couple of service trucks, which was a new term that I had to learn, and operating out of 1.5 stations, I'll say. Technically, I could throw the flag and say we're operating out of 2 stations, but one of them's really a garage that houses a spare ambulance. So I could, for the purposes of a resume, I would say 2, but realistically, it's 1. The firehouse itself is pretty new. It's only just about 20 years old. 4 bays, drive-through, and then your typical setup. I'd say mostly it's definitely was set up more on the volunteer side. Like it still has the big meeting room. The living quarters are pretty small. The day room's pretty small, but it's other than a couple air conditioning, it's definitely leaps and bounds better than what I've been exposed to in my life. The paid department broken down again. The medics work 24 on, 72 off. There's a lot of part-time EMTs, part-time medics. Also, fire inspection, fire marshal services is done through the career staff. And they have right now they have 1 career captain, and we're in the process of promoting and creating a position for a captain to run the paramedic program. Since I am not a paramedic, we need a paramedic to run the paramedic program. And that's pretty much it for the career staff. Great group of guys and girls. They're so far they've done everything I've asked of and expected them to. A couple little, I'd say, growing pains that you have here and there, but good core group of staff there. On the volunteer side, obviously the volunteer side is a lot larger. There's about 30 volunteers. I've got 2 deputy chiefs, a assistant chief or safety chief, and then a couple captains, couple lieutenants, and they're both on the fire on the east side and on the EMS side, and a good strong group of members. And they've been great. It's a little bit different. Right, my leadership style, I'm sure, is leaps and bounds different than the guy before me, mainly because I feel like I'm a little bit more I don't know how I would say it. I'm a little bit different leadership style, right? So, uh, the department's strengths and weaknesses so far, I'm working on those. But I can tell you, one of the strengths is that they have a tremendously strong paramedic program. As of the recording of this, we're one of the highest operating paramedic programs in the state. They do a lot of paramedic stuff that a lot of other paramedics don't do, that I don't really, I'm not educated enough on to speak intelligently to it, but I know that they do RSI. They give whole blood. They do a lot of things that medics in this area don't commonly do. So that's kind of a feather in the cap. But the downside to that is, the paramedic program has been beefed up so much that it causes deficiencies, I guess you'd say, in other areas. So we're trying to just kind of even it out, if you will. It's it's definitely like anything. It's a new challenge, a new task. I've got great officers. We're diligently working together to keep the department moving forward. Like all volunteer departments, the biggest problem I have is membership. And the ironic thing is, it's on both sides of the coin. It's not just the volunteer side; it's also the career side. Your pool of people is very limited. The community's kind of, again, only 10,000 people. The core group of members is tremendously strong. They've got a lot of time, a lot of tenure. My assistant chiefs are amazingly, well versed in the town. They're very active in the department. They're fielding a lot of, I guess you'd say, dumb questions from me at this point. But it is, it's learning a whole new system. The dispatch centers, probably the last bastion of county in the state of Connecticut. For those of you, I think I've mentioned it before, Connecticut has no county governments, but Talon County Dispatch, at one time we did. So that's our the regional dispatch center, and it's Station 46. So like a county fire department, at one point they numbered all the stations, so everything. And our station is 46. So I'm car 46. My, first assistant chief is 146. Our squad is 146. It's a simple way to let the dispatch center know who everybody is. If it ends in 46, it's coming from Summers. Couple big differences that I have to get used to. Totally different air packs, right? My whole life I've always used Scott. In both Derby and Bridgeport, we were Scott. They're MSA, they're MSA. So that's a whole different animal, and it's something I'm probably been the most nervous about, is learning the air pack, mainly because I've got 30 years of muscle memory for a Scott air pack, and I worry sometimes. I thought about when I went up there trying to get myself a Scott, just because it's a big difference, between using something that you've used every day for, almost every day, or checking it daily and operating with it for a very, very long period of time. And then suddenly you just throw it out the window and like, oh, hey, here's the new thing. But it's also a lot of the administrative side, right? So I'm handling, like anybody, I'm handling the administrative side of the department. So it's budgeting, it's processing payments, it's, ensuring timesheets are correct. And then I'm also the fire marshal, so signing off on a lot of the fire marshal stuff. I have a couple great fire inspectors that work for me. Some of the, most of the paid staff is multi-rolled. Can't even say dual role, because most of them are fire, EMS, and they also do some kind of inspections. But again, so far they've been incredibly welcoming. I've got to do a couple, interesting things so far up there that I've never been able to do before. Again, we reorganized the paid staff. There was one paid lieutenant when I got up there. We now have one paid captain, with the second one on the way. So that was something I was extremely proud of. I hired my first staff member a few weeks ago. Just started this past week, so that was something that I'd never done before. I had to have the first day sit down and conversation, which I think it went well, but I don't know, it could have been pretty awkward. But I just think that it's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to really becoming part of the community, and to learn from them and to have them teach me a different style of firefighting. It's not bad hydranted wide. The town is mostly there's a lot of hydrants for what you would expect to be a rural area. They have great water pressure, but I also got 2 tankers, so that's another for the people out west. Tenders, in the Northeast we still call them tankers. That's a common joke we make all the time. I'd like to make some improvements. I want to beef up a little bit of our technical rescue capabilities a little bit, especially when it comes to like low angle rope stuff and vehicle extrication. Those are 2 areas that I've already started, laying my foundation and work on to bring them up in their capabilities, and it's been well received so far. And then it's just, the usual, getting to know everybody. Coming into a new town, every meeting you go to, you're meeting new people. Every time you walk into town hall, somebody wants to meet you. So it's been, extremely exciting to become part of this community and part of this culture of a different department. I always expected me to ride out the 25 years in Bridgeport and, ride off into the wind leaving there. This was something that I don't want to say came out of nowhere. I mean, it's a little flattering, right? You go in for an interview with a group of people that you've never met, never done anything like this before. I mean, obviously I've taken promotional exams, but they weren't anything on this level. And to know that you were up against a bunch of other candidates, to know that the qualifications of a lot of them, and to know that you came out as the better candidate is very humbling, and it makes you feel a little bit of, I guess you'd say, a little pressure that, am I the right guy for the job? Did I overextend? Am I supposed to be in that chair and in this room? And I think it's good because I think it keeps you honest, right? Nobody goes into a new job thinking I know everything, and I think you'd be kind of a fool to do that. And while if you take the sum of all of my experience, right? I ran the ambulance corps, I ran the fire department, I was a lieutenant in a city fire department. And you add that all together, it equals summers. In Derby, we had the paid staff on the ambulance, covering the ambulance, responding in the ambulance. If there was a fire, we would let them jump over to the fire trucks, or if they needed to take an engine. Here, it's just that's the way that they operate. So it's been very delightful thus far, and I think it'll put a new spin on the show because when I was doing the show, I was using lessons learned in the past and experiences that I had in the past as the chief in Derby. And now I'm back to, I keep joking that I might have to change the name of the show from the Volley Chief to the Combo Chief, right? I have a combination department, so and it's a unique blend because the style of management for each has to be different, right? You can't manage. I always tell a lot of people they fail to understand how to properly manage volunteers. Volunteers require a different approach because at the end of the day, if you're paying an employee to be there, they have to be there. Their livelihood depends on it. When you're not paying an employee, when you're relying on volunteers, you really need buy-in from them, and you really need them to feel that they're valued and that their opinion counts and that they're there for a good reason. And I think that's something that a lot of the members there already have, and I just hope that I can harness that energy and keep the ball rolling in the right direction. Let's see, trying to think of any other summer specifics, things that have popped up so far, or it's got a big county fair, town fair, whatever you want to, a 4-town fair, multi-town fair every year. It's one of our big events. There's also a big lacrosse tournament. There's a few things here and there. I've got tremendous support from the town. The town government so far has been extremely helpful. They've helped me at every avenue along the way. So I'm very excited for this. It's going to be a tremendous opportunity. I hope that we're able to grow and move on, and more importantly, I just hope I don't screw anything up. But that's where I've been, right? It's been a pretty interesting summer. Last talk to you in Bridgeport, ready to keep going there and handling things there and working here in the Volley Chief. And, in a matter of months, things rapidly changed. So, as always, I want to thank everyone for listening. Season 2 is going to be ramping up. We're going to be doing some good interviews. Got some good topics coming up. If you'd like to be on the show, shoot us an email at thevolleychief@gmail.com. Like us and subscribe. Don't forget, keep the machine of social media keeping me in favor. Instagram, Facebook, all those sites too. Feel free to visit me there. And until next week, this is David Leonard and another episode of the Volley Chief. And we'll see you later. FD1's back in service. Commands terminated.